Do you think everything you've seen in your favorite movies is true? I am not talking about fantasy creatures or robots from the future. I am talking about real situations that movies tend to exaggerate and you don't even realize it. We may trust the big movie industry, but even if you don't think so, there are many myths that Hollywood has taught us to believe. Myths that we learn from countless movies and that many of us take for granted. Misconceptions that TV sells us, lies from movies, and even myths on subjects as important as medicine. Stop believing all these lies and discover with us the most ridiculous myths about movies that you still think are true. And for some extra fun, find our mascot Ned hiding throughout the video. All pirates are criminals. Have you ever dreamed of being a pirate and sailing the seven seas? I am sorry to say that if that was your dream, then you wanted to be a criminal, a first-class thief. This was a practice that was not only seen in the Caribbean Sea, as the movies have shown us, but spread from Northern Europe with the Vikings to East Africa with the Somali pirates. But not all is lost. You can still be a pirate legally, as many people who own ships or could rent them applied for a piracy license from European governments. This allowed them to steal the gold that ships from other countries carried. Are you ready to start your career as a legal pirate? Car wiring is easy. Stealing a car by crossing a few wires is not as easy as it looks in the movies. So don't think about trying. It will never work. And this is more complicated than it looks. Why? It's because of technological advances in the automotive industry that don't allow that to take place. Maybe in the past you could have done it with some classic or antique cars. But leave that myth to your favorite movie star and you make sure you use the right key. Giving birth. It doesn't take a medical expert to realize that the labor scenes in movies are incredibly unrealistic, being one of the most recreated scenes in movies and TV shows. Besides being an event that many women experience in their own flesh and blood, the writers do not seem to understand either the symptoms or the process that results in the wonderful miracle of life. No, it's not true that many women feel their water break so easily before going to the hospital. And the process is not as simple as your favorite actress makes us believe. It can last 8, 12, 24, or even 48 hours. Ask your mom to tell you all the details of the day you were born, so you don't get fooled by Hollywood. Explosions in space. You've probably seen several movies or series that take place in space. But let me tell you that all the explosions you have seen are not real at all. This is because gravity and air have totally different behaviors on Earth and in space. Let's begin with the fact that explosions on Earth fly through the air and fall to the ground. In space, on the other hand, explosions are like a sphere of light that keeps on expanding, making them extremely dangerous for any element around them. And let's not leave behind the fact that fire in space looks very different from that on Earth. Sharks smell blood from miles away. Next time you're swimming in the sea and you hurt your foot or your hand, don't worry, no shark will notice your blood and come and get you. Well, unless you're incredibly close to it. The well-known characteristic that sharks have of smelling human blood from miles away is nothing more than a myth. A myth that has filled us with fear for years. Does that mean that a shark cannot smell your blood? Well, yes it can, but it cannot do so at great distances. The longest distance it can smell your blood will be the distance of an Olympic-sized swimming pool. If these creatures had such an advanced sense of smell, they will be confused with the many scents they get from the sea. The first punch and knocking someone out. To render a person unconscious does not require only one punch. This is a great myth that we have seen in several action scenes. Even a professional boxer is not able to do it. As we have seen in a boxing match, the human body is designed to withstand more than just a punch. And it is quite dangerous for your wrists and elbows to take unprotected punches. Why do you think even the greatest boxing professionals wear gloves? The silence of the guns. It is commonly known the moment when the spy or killer is about to exterminate a person. And in order to not be detected or to make much noise, they put a silencer on their gun. But let me tell you that this does not work as well as we've seen on TV. Let's start with the fact that the correct word will be suppressor. This means that it suppresses the noise generated by the shot. It does not silence it. It's the same concept as suppressing noise by means of wearing protective gear in the shooting range. Piranhas are extreme predators. What would you think if I told you that you could jump into a piranha-infested river and come out completely unscathed with all your limbs? You don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. Hollywood has led us to believe that piranhas are one of the most dangerous fish in existence and will attack you when you least expect it. But as hard as it is to believe, we have to get those terrible scenes of the killer piranhas out of our heads. These are native to the rivers of South America and are omnivorous fish. That is, they eat everything except humans. No, a piranha will not eat you because you are its prey. It will simply attack you if you disturb it. So when you go swimming in a river, leave the piranhas alone, and they will do you the same favor. You can drown in lava. It is typical to see the villain end up being defeated in a dramatic way by diving and drowning into lava. But this is all a lie, and you may be wondering why one cannot drown or dive into lava. The answer is simple and straightforward. Lava has a higher density than water. This means that you will not be able to dive. You will only float, unlike water where the density is lower and you could swim in it. So think twice before you go swimming in lava or water. Security cameras and persons of interest. In most movies where the hero must investigate a crime, for some reason, there is always a security camera that captures the suspects with an excellent quality that allows the detective to enlarge the image and see their faces as clear as sunlight. But we all know that this is just a myth because the security videos we have seen are always of low quality and very grainy. But how come security cameras can record in such high quality as film? There are many factors that do not allow it. Mainly the fact that these cameras are part of a closed circuit with multiple devices capturing images all the time. The amount of images can overload the system, and therefore the circuits must be optimized with images of lower quality. Lasers that can be heard and seen in space. It is not really possible to hear and see the lasers being fired from the guns. You will not be able to hear the laser shots because there is no atmosphere in space. This means that there will be no sound, in the same way that explosions happen in space. Similarly, we will not be able to see the lasers unless small particles were placed in the middle of the shot. So the next time you see and hear lasers in space, keep in mind that this could not really happen. Criminal insanity defense. We have seen in many movies that criminals can get away with declaring themselves mentally disabled and using this as a legitimate defense for the crime they committed. Thus, they will not end up in jail but in a mental hospital where the doctors will do everything possible to cure their false mental disorders. The reality is that a trial does not work in such a simple way, and the judge cannot declare a person mentally incapacitated without having enough evidence from psychologists and psychiatrists to prove it. Is there not then a defense for people who do have mental disorders? Of course there is, but it cannot be used and abused by everyone as shown in the movies. Dinosaur DNA. The dinosaur became extinct about 65 million years ago, and the only traces we have of them are ancient fossils, their feathered descendants, birds, and an endless number of movies that have sold us a Hollywood image of dinosaurs, an image that is not scientifically proven. Most of the things we know about dinosaurs have been created by fiction, not science. Also, the idea that the DNA of these creatures could have been preserved in prehistoric mosquitoes and used to clone them is a bit far-fetched because this DNA will become useless after a million years. If your dream was to meet a dinosaur, you might consider pursuing a different dream. You just saw how Hollywood movies have been lying to us for years, and we still believe everything they show us. From gunshots and explosions in space to murderous piranhas, some of which are totally untrue and others more exaggerated than reality. But let's remember that the vast majority of these productions are fiction. So let's not be so strict with them. Not everything has to work as it is. The most important thing is to enjoy our favorite films or series. Thank you very much for watching us. I hope you had fun exploring the biggest myths of movies and series. Until next time! Remember to click the bell icon after you subscribe so you can get instant notifications of all our new videos.